Hi, it's Ann Perry, and I felt compelled to make this video today because it occurred to me that many of you have been contacting me because you're looking for some insight around the challenges that exist within the 11 energy. And the 11 energy can be seen in many different places. It can be seen in your day of birth. It can be seen as your life path number, your expression number, your heart's desire. It can be seen as a transit that also exists within your chart. But the reality of it is the 11 energy can be very challenging, and I acknowledge that. And I wanted to help draw some conclusions as to why is this such a challenge? What is it that makes this a bit more challenging than most? So I don't think anyone has ever contacted me to say, hey, Ann, you know what? Guess what? I'm an 11, and I'm just so happy to be that 11. I said no one ever. Because honestly, the 11 is very challenging. When you embrace the 11 energy, it's an amazing energy to have. But the reality of it is a lot of people struggle with it because they don't quite understand it. So for those of you who are new to numerology, I'd like to acquaint you with the unique energy that belongs to the path of the 11. The reality of it is that numerologists do believe that we've all had previous lifetimes, and we have a belief system that says that we write a new soul's contract for ourselves each time that we incarnate into the next lifetime. So in your previous lifetime, you might have sat back and said, hey, you know what? I wasn't particularly patient in my previous lifetime, so I want to bring forth the lessons that would be invited by the number 2, because the 2 energy is all about learning about patience and diplomacy. And I'd like to learn a little bit more about creativity and self-expression. So I'm going to invite those lessons through the 3 energy that I'll place in my date of birth. And maybe I want to be a bit better with my money this time around, so some 8 energy would be good. And so the idea is that all the numbers from 1 to 9 hold a vibration, and each vibration produces a predictable characteristic or outcome around it. So the idea is that the date of birth is chosen by you, and it produces half of your soul's contract, okay? And the other half of your soul's contract comes from your full birth name, your name on your birth certificate. You also choose the name on your birth certificate. Now, what happens with that is that you choose your name on your birth certificate based, again, on the lessons that you want to bring forward, the talents that you want to bring forward, life experiences and such, because your name actually embraces all of your previous experiences in previous incarnations. It's like several chapters all wrapped up into one that, so each letter was very strategically placed in your name by your choosing. Okay, and then you telepathically communicated this to the person who would name you in this lifetime. So likely your mom or your dad would have gotten the message before you were born to say, this is what I want to be called. Because every time I use that name, it references a lesson that I asked to learn, or it brings forth a talent that I wanted to explore further in this lifetime. So one of the things we need to remember is that those of you who have 11 energy in your charts, be it your life path number, expression, whatever, or maybe you were just born on the 11th day, you need to remember that you chose this number, but you were given the opportunity to work through this number because you're an old soul. You have walked this planet many, many times prior to coming here into this incarnation. And so the 11 life path number or 11 energy of any kind is only given to those who are up for the task. Okay, you came with enough experience. Think of it this way. Think of it as if you applied to do your PhD or your master's in a given field. Okay, you had to have done the preliminary work, the bachelor's, degree, whatever, prior to being accepted into the program to do the master's position while you're here. You signed a contract that said, I will deliver a very powerful message, a very empowering message that will change the lot in life of a lot of people while I'm here. But you probably don't know what it is, do you? So let's talk a little bit about how unique that number is, how unique that opportunity is in that contract. So let's talk about what is so special about the life path number of 11. Because you're an old soul, you brought forth with you in this lifetime tons of cellular memory. Okay, you're just floating with cellular memory all through your body, and you know things long before you should. As a child, your parents might have looked at you and said, "How do you know that? Like, how did you know that that was so and so? How did you know that this was going to happen?" Okay, it comes from this cellular memory bank that you're carrying around with you. As a child, you were probably treated more as an adult than you were as a child, okay? Because you have this vibration that you send out that says, I am an old soul, I do have it figured out. I don't need your help, even though you have a huge need to belong and you have a huge need to be a child like everybody else and to be nurtured in the same way. There's an unusual, very fine, high vibration that you put out there that speaks volumes to people, that helps them to believe that you've got it figured out more than most. So as a child, your parents might have said, well, come on, Johnny, you knew better than that. Come on, you're the big boy. You're the mature one here, So you just go help your little brother out, and this sort of thing. And you might have been sort of shunned a little bit. So that causes you to hold some resentment sometimes, because you might have found that your parents treated you a little differently than they treated your brothers and sisters. You may have found that the expectations for you were much greater for you than what there was ever expected from the other kids. Maybe you were punished more harshly because they expected more from you. And as a child, you would have preferred the company of adults rather than kids. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is the fact that you are this old soul living in a little person's body. But it's also the fact that you enjoy the energy of an adult more so than a child. The whole chaos of playing with kids and being around lots of noise and confusion and groups and that sort of thing, it's not a good place for you. You don't thrive particularly well in that kind of environment. So you tend to gravitate more so to adults than you do to the kids. People will just naturally expect more from you, so it already puts you into a more of an adult role early on. The reality of it is that yes, people will expect more from you than what they might from somebody else because of the energy you send out there. But the reality of it is that you expect more from yourself. You expect more from yourself because you know intuitively that you should have known better. You shouldn't have trusted that person. You should have, you wear a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas on your shoulders because you're drawing from the cellular memory that says, I had that information to make a better choice from. Okay. So you beat yourself up unmercifully at times. You can be very hypersensitive to your surroundings. There's colors that you just don't do well in. Maybe you don't like the color red. Maybe that makes you feel anxious. Maybe you would prefer to be in the color green. Your environment, the color that it is important. Scent is you're sensitive to scent. You're sensitive to food, possibly skin sensitivities too. Sound, for sure, always sensitive to sound. Confrontation, you don't do it well. You don't like it at all. You have a lot of psychic awareness about you as well. As a friend, you probably had your share of invisible friends, and angelic encounters and spiritual encounters, but you probably shut it down for fear of it, right? You might even suffer a little bit from depression because you do hold the bar very high for yourself. Again, here comes those expectations that nobody would expect from you other than yourself. So you hold it in such high regard. So depression isn't too far around the corner because you feel badly that maybe you self-perceive that you failed. Okay. And also part of the reason for that is that you're a perfectionist. Boys, do you ever like to get it right? Right? You don't like it to be wrong. So you probably have been a good student and you do have a vein of perfectionism there. I mean, you have a bigger challenge than most people do. And this comes with greater expectations and a need for bigger responsibilities. But one thing you got to remember, you guys, you are brilliant. You have such an amazingly creative mind. I mean, it blows me away when I see 11s and the potential that they have. But not everybody's embracing it. And that's why you have the challenges. So you're here to master your life, but you probably don't even know what you're here to master. And so you spiral around the drain a little bit, wondering what the heck that's all about. I like to describe 11s as late bloomers. You guys are like, a good supper in a crock pot that takes a little bit of time to come and mature. But you're late bloomers. You probably won't figure this out, whatever your path is, until you're well into your 30s, your 40s, even your 50s, because you're meant to experience life before you can actually really embrace whatever your purpose is. You're hugely intuitive, you're very creative, you're very musical, but a lot of you won't explore your musical talent because you're afraid you're not going to be good enough. You won't play the piano well enough, so I'm not even going to go there kind of thing. I'm not good enough to do that. So unfortunately, that will keep you away from exploring some of the wonderful talents that you have in that way. Quite often the 11s live in a fear of failure and just simply not being good enough because they're always comparing themselves to who they were in previous lifetimes. You might wonder what will happen if I don't live up to my potential. What happens then? You may feel like you don't belong here. But really what you need is to fit in, because when you look at the number 11, it's 2 ones / 2. And that 2 says, I need to belong. I need to be part of a partnership. I need to fit in. I need to find my people. I need to find my group. But on some level, you feel like you're not even from here. It's like you've been dropped on this planet and you have you kind of feel like, I guess they got that address mixed up because I'm not supposed to be on this planet because I surely don't fit in here, right? You're also very consciously aware that time is ticking on, and that because you've lived so many lifetimes, you're fully aware that, there's only so many breaths in this lifetime to accomplish what it is you're supposed to accomplish. And you know that you're supposed to be doing something amazing while you're here, but you probably don't know what it is, right? And you haven't figured it out yet. You'll start one job and it's like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is my purpose. Not so much. Oh, maybe this is it. Right. This will be good. I can do this. Right. This is going to make me feel 100% whole and complete, and not so much. So you're always wondering, is this really what I should be doing? Is it really the partnership I should be in? Is this the relationship I should be in? Is this the job I should be in? A lot of self-doubt goes on for those of you who are 11s. So this causes you sometimes to feel very restless and indecisive, sometimes a bit fearful and shy. You'll push yourself right to the limits, right to the point of exhaustion. You're very, very driven people. And I have to add too that a lot of 11s have a hard time adjusting to parenthood. And it's not because you're not a good parent. It's not because you didn't want kids. It's because you really need to control your environment. You do very well one-on-one. You guys are extremely good one-on-one, great counselors. You have a very soft, gentle energy about you that's really comfortable. But, 3 is a crowd. So you bring in that screaming child that's waking you up in the middle of the night, and you don't sleep well as it is, right? It's sometimes a little bit difficult to deal with having to meet the needs of somebody else. What if I fail at being a parent? I can't deal with this noise. I can't deal with the fact that this child is sensitive all the time, and you're tuning into their sensitivities. You can't always fix them, so it can be a little bit of an adjustment. Most of you will roll right out into it, no problem whatsoever, but I just want to put it out there to say, parenthood is not always an easy adjustment for you. You're very, very intuitive. You're very, very psychic. You guys have got this 1-800 dial-up connection to the other side. I always say that there's a veil that exists between ourselves and the other side. And the veil for you guys is just thinner than it is for most of us. Biggest challenge for you guys is to have faith and to believe in yourselves. So let's take a moment and take a look at the 11 and how it actually breaks down, because I really want to help you to see where the positive sides are and the negative sides and how you can embrace the both of them to get the best, out of it. You need to firstly remember that the life path number shows us the areas that we've chosen to improve upon in this lifetime. It's made up of the lessons that you asked to learn. You asked to be an 11 in this lifetime. The 11 is made up of 2 number 1s. So what does this mean? There's positive sides to the 1 energy and there's a negative. So let's talk about the positive side. The positive side of 1 is that the 1 energy is very creative. You've got double the need for creativity because you have 2 1s. Double the need for independence, for leadership and confidence. Double the need to illuminate and teach other people. Double the need to be the visionary. Double the need for perfection, because 1s are all about being perfectionists, and the double need to be number 1. You're very, very driven, very competitive. But an 11 is a master number is dictated by the fact that there are 2 of the same numbers, 11, 22, 44, 11, 22, 33, and 44, all master numbers, right? Double 1s, double 2s, and so on and so forth. The double 1s, when we add them together, come up to 2. And so the positive side of the 2 energy says, I'm really good one-on-one. I like to be part of a team. I like partnership. I'm a great supporter behind the scenes. I don't need the limelight. I'm very compassionate. I'm a great listener. I'm a peacekeeper, and I hate confrontation. So I can see the positive and the negative sides of each situation. So it makes me a really good mediator and negotiator as well. Very sensitive to everything. I'm a team player at all costs. That's when I thrive, is when I'm a team player. I don't have much of a need for material rewards. I like my material things, don't get me wrong, but I don't have to be driven towards the material side like if I was the life path number of 1, I'm a great organizer, great facilitator, I'm intuitive, bordering on psychic. Okay, so like I said before, there's a positive and a negative side to each number. In the case of the 1 energy, it's used negatively. If it's used negatively, then it can produce somebody who's very dominant, very domineering, very egotistical. They say I a lot, I did this, I did that, I accomplished this, I helped the family to do that. They take a lot of the glory for themselves. So if you're working the negative side of the 11, you have a double need to take the glory, okay? It can be very self-centered, can be overly confident, overly independent, and driven to the exclusion of all others. Now remember, the 11, it culminates to a 2. The 2 says, I need partnership, okay? But if you're so busy being dominant and being egotistical, and I did this and I did that, you're not much fun to hang out with, right? So you're sort of alienating yourself from people around you. Maybe you need to kind of look at that and say, is that kind of a quality that I've adopted, that I'm sort of, pushing people away? You got to remember, how am I teaching people how to treat me? There's an example right there. In the case of the 2 energy, if it's used negatively, then it can produce somebody who is overly shy, someone who doesn't know their boundaries. They're saying yes to everything. They're overly sensitive, and they have the victim mentality. Well, we all know how fun they are to hang out with. They don't play well in a group. They blame everybody else for their shortcomings. Remember, ultimately, they're perfectionists. But when we fall to the negative side of the 2 energy, we can blame everybody else for the fact that we didn't measure up to what we saw as our potential. So we might even appear apathetic or indifferent just to protect our very delicate egos. So by now you probably recognize the dichotomy of the 11 energy. And on the one side, this person has the double ones, double need to be independent and stand alone. But on the other side, you want to be a team player. And at the end of the day, you just want to belong, right? You just want to be part of a group. You already feel like you don't belong on this earth, right? So you're doing the best you can. You're trying to figure out, how do I fit in with a group? Where's my people, So you feel really different. And you can see that the 11 energy is really challenged to create balance. It's very challenging to try and create balance in your life. No one ever said it was going to be easy, but we know that you're up for the task because you wouldn't have been given the opportunity to work with the 11 energy unless you had the experience necessary to be able to tackle it. So I want to take a look now at somebody who very successfully has embraced the 11-2 life path number to the benefit of a lot of people. And that would be Michael Jordan, basketball player, very famous basketball player. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of stats about Michael because honestly, I don't observe sports. I'm not a big sports fan, but I do understand the energy of what he is and how wonderful a job he's done at embracing his life path number of the 11. Michael understood that to be a great team player, he needed to lead with all of the positive attributes of the 1 energy, which includes vision and leadership and positive attitude and confidence, a need to be number 1 with focus and achievement, okay? But Michael isn't a 1. He's not standing all by himself. He's an 11. That's a double 1 energy. Much stronger than just being a 1 alone. And the 11 energy has a sub-lesson of the 2 energy because 1 and 1 equals 2. No one ever won a basketball game all by themselves. It takes a team effort to win. And Michael knew that he had to embrace the qualities of the 2. He found the balance in his life. He had to embrace the qualities of the 2 to achieve the greatness of the 11. He knew that he had to strive for perfection, but to be a leader who supported his team players. It takes a team to win a game, and he knew that. And he discovered the balance between being number 1 and being a team player. He didn't allow the negative, domineering qualities of the 1 energy to consume him, as it often does with famous athletes. He found a way to use all the best qualities in the double 1 energy, and he left his ego in the locker room, and he focused on the team effort, which is ultimately what it is he's meant to do. So he's truly a gifted messenger. And you need to remember that you guys who are 11s, you're meant to be a messenger. You can use music, as I said before. You can use the written word, the spoken word. You can be a public speaker, whatever. Find a way to deliver a message and to be a good example. So he is a truly gifted messenger, and he's worked hard to honor the agreement that he signed before he incarnated into this lifetime. that said he would be an 11 master number. His gifts as an athlete have contributed to his notoriety, which has allowed him to be seen and to be heard. And he's used his athletic gift to become the spiritual messenger that he agreed to be. He's really helped out a lot of kids. He's got some amazing charities online. If you take a look at it, it's amazing what he's done. What he didn't do was point fingers at others for his shortcomings. I'm sure he had some bad days. I'm sure he had to learn different techniques and whatnot, but he wasn't pointing his fingers at someone else when he was failing. He took command of the energy of the one and took responsibility for his accomplishments. Listen, I know that the 11 energy is a toughie. It's a tough one to master for sure, but you are a master who incarnated into this lifetime to master your life. You have the tools necessary. You have to have faith, and you need to believe in yourself. If you're struggling, then you need to ask yourself, maybe are you blaming someone else for your shortcomings? Are you pointing the finger outside of yourself? If you're struggling, maybe you need to look at, how much of a role are you playing in the outcome of your life? How are you teaching people how to treat you? What patterns are you setting up in your life that is allowing for a life that you're not so happy with? Have you been teaching people how to treat you like a doormat because you're the one that's always there to listen? But you know what? Sometimes you have to learn how to put the boundaries up to say, I'm not always going to, be available all the time, right? If you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're wearing that victim t-shirt, you can expect to feel very alone and isolated because nobody wants to hang out with the victim. And remember that, you got to remember that you're the one that creates your own reality. As you believe, so it is. If you think you're not good enough, then guess what? I guess you're not good enough because that's what you believe. And if you feel like you're a loser, guess what? I guess you're a loser because that's your reality. That's what you believe. Remember that it's really not how I feel about you that counts. It's not how your wife feels about you, your husband, or your neighbor. What matters is how you feel. Nobody can make you feel anything unless you choose to feel it. You create your own reality. Choose to feel empowered by your magnificent life path number of 11. Choose to walk that difficult path with faith. You've got the experience. You've done it before. They wouldn't give you the opportunity if you hadn't done it before and if you weren't qualified to handle it in this lifetime. If you don't believe in yourself, who's going to? Remember that everything is a choice, and you can embrace this opportunity or you can reject it. The choice really is yours. But one thing I know to be true is this. Anything that we give our energy, our attention, and our focus to is going to get bigger. If you keep focusing on how hard this life path number is, or how hard this 11 is wherever it exists in your chart, guess what? It's going to get harder because you keep focusing on how difficult it is. Those of you who are 11s are special. You are the chosen ones. You are brilliant. You are gifted. And you are here to accomplish great things in your lifetime. Never forget that. I hope that this video has helped to illuminate you on your path in some way. I hope that it's helped to uncover some of the challenges that you already know exist, and maybe some ways to look at your life a little differently so that you can help to relieve the challenges that you're experiencing. Hey, I acknowledge that the 11 energy is tough. There's no question, but I believe that you're tougher than the journey itself. Thanks so much for watching. I always appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel and sharing it with others when you see that it's appropriate. My passion has always been to help you, those of you who have master numbers, help you to understand yourselves more intimately. I invite you to check out my website. It's www.AnnPerryNumerologist.com. There's tons of information there, various readings that I offer. I'm happy to do personal readings for you. And you can follow me on Facebook because I do post some pretty interesting things there too. You can also sign up for my newsletter if you like. Thanks so much. Count on having a great day. And just remember how very, very special you are. Thanks so much. Take care.